I think that this really shows the great partnership between the county and city, because we are on a city property, but the county property abuts this, so it shows why we have to work so closely together. And I'm going to turn it over to our County Executive Adam Bello, and we will, when we give our remarks, we'll introduce members of our team and other folks that are here. But I will add that you'll hear from the District Attorney Brian Green, as well as the Sheriff Todd Baxter, and then I'll introduce the other members of my team when I get up to make my remarks. But right now I want to turn it over to our County Executive Adam Bello, who has jurisdiction over the Highland Park as well as Ontario Beach Park. Mr. County Executive.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I want to thank all the partners who are behind us, joining us here this morning. Thank all you in the media for being here today. So today what we wanted to do is discuss what we saw take place at the end of the Lilac Festival and what we saw earlier this week unfold here on Ontario Beach Park with the fighting that was taking place and some of the chaos surrounding that. And we wanted to speak loudly and clearly with one message, that behavior is unacceptable. What we saw, the fighting that we saw take place, the violence that occurred, is simply not going to be tolerated in our county parks. I am a huge believer in parks, that they should be free, open, and accessible to everyone to enjoy, especially now as the weather is getting nicer. We want to encourage everyone to come out, and when people come and visit our county parks, they should feel safe, they should feel secured, and everyone should be following the rules to make sure that everyone can enjoy these spaces as they're intended to be enjoyed. So what occurred earlier this week, it was reckless, it was dangerous, and we are not going to tolerate it. And I want to be very clear. Anyone who engages in this type of violence and any vandalism, assaults, any criminal activity in county parks is going to be held accountable for their actions. Now, the truth is, most people, including young people, who come out to our county parks do so safely, and they're coming here to have a great time. And what we don't want to do is have a group of individuals who are looking to come out and disrupt that, ruin it for everybody else. And that we're just not going to have happen. Like I said, I'm a big believer in the park system, and we are not going to give up on the county parks. We are not going to have this turn into a situation where people are going to come, a smaller group of people are going to come and ruin it for everybody else. We're not going to do that. So a couple things that I wanted to put on people's radar, because as the Memorial Day weekend is coming up and we have some nicer weather, maybe not tomorrow, but some nicer weather coming up in the coming weeks, I want the public to understand a couple things. One is what we are going to do to enhance security and safety in terms of the physical infrastructure at the beach, and then what the enforcement will look like, and we have our law enforcement partners here as well, and how accountability is going to be achieved to ensure that that we're protecting the public and preserving spaces in our parks for everyone. So what are people going to see when they come to particularly Ontario Beach Park? First, you may have noticed the new gates that have been installed in the parking lots. That's being done in conjunction with the new closing time for the park, which is at 10 o'clock at night. So at 10 o'clock, or if needed before that, we have gates now that have been installed in the parking lot. The purpose of those gates is so that they can be closed to prevent any additional vehicles from coming in once the park is closed, but still allow vehicles to leave afterwards if people are still on premise. The park closes at 10 o'clock. If you have a shelter that's been rented here, you are allowed to stay until 10:30. Those closing times will be enforced. How are they going to be enforced? There's security that's here after those closing hours that will enforce the closure. It is a trespass if you are here in a violation of the county code, if you are here past closing time. So we will be enforcing that so people are not here overnight creating any trouble. You will also see portable cameras that are installed. Those cameras will give security the opportunity to have live views and feeds of what's happening at the park. It also gives them the ability to record what's taking place as well. So if there is an incident at the park, we can have that on a recording and be able to follow up appropriately. You'll see new lighting at place too, so as it gets darker out at night, you'll see new lighting, and you'll see installed a seasonal perimeter fence that's going to be installed at the southern end of the park. And the purpose of that seasonal fence is to limit the number of access points to the park. This is a big open, wide open space that can lend itself to a lot of people coming in and out. If you can limit the access points using this type of security fence, what that'll do is help give our law enforcement partners and security the ability to focus efforts where they're needed in case there's an incident there. And so the fencing you'll see in place here. So these investments and these efforts are specifically designed to help deter the type of incidents we saw earlier this week, but also be able to manage the enforcement and the accountability going forward. Now, I want to say this before I turn this over to the mayor. Our law enforcement officers and the first responders who are standing here, they do have a very difficult job. Now, these situations, like what we saw earlier this week, can escalate quickly. They can be unpredictable. But I do want to thank the coordination that takes place between the Sheriff's Department and the Rochester Police Department. As the mayor said in introducing me a few minutes ago, Ontario Beach Park in particular is a unique sort of situation. It's in the city of Rochester. It is a county park, so it requires a coordination between both myself and the mayor, and also between the police chief and the sheriff. And I am grateful for the officers and the deputies who respond every day to this park, respond all across the community to instances like this that pop up. And it is a very difficult job, especially when they're dealing with large crowds. But I also want to say that law enforcement can't do it alone. It really is going to require all the community response to end these types of disruptions. We have to have accountability. We need parental involvement. We need community involvement, particularly when it involves young people who are coming here later at night and causing disruptions like this. The police cannot do it alone. We all need to come together, recognize and acknowledge that this behavior is not acceptable, and we need to send a clear and consistent message that we are not going to allow smaller groups of people to ruin these beautiful public spaces for everyone else. I love the county parks. I want to encourage everyone to come out. It's Memorial Day weekend. The weather's not going to be great tomorrow, but Sunday and Monday I think is looking a little bit better. And so we'd encourage the community to come out, enjoy the county parks, enjoy all of them throughout the system, including here at Ontario Beach Park, and know that you can do so safely because of the individuals behind me and the coordination that's going to take place to make sure that that happens. And I'll even say this. We have good news to even announce today, because today is the opening day for the Denzel Carousel. So the carousel is open starting today from 12 to 7. And for the holiday weekend, we're going to make it free of charge. So this weekend through Monday, come ride the carousel down here at the beach. It'll be free of charge, and we welcome everyone to come out and have a nice time and enjoy hopefully what will be good weather at the tail end of the holiday weekend. And with that, I'd like to invite up the mayor, Malik Evans, to share a few words.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. And on this Memorial Day weekend, we are grateful for our servicemen and women, those that made the ultimate sacrifice, as well as the Gold Star and Blue Star families. And I think Memorial Day is a great way to remember that those that fought for freedom, but freedom is not free. And I think that that brings us up to the conversations that we're having today. We are in a very interesting time, not only in our country, in our city, but also in our world. As I was coming here today, someone sent me a video of a fight at a Catholic school kindergarten graduation in Toledo, where a bunch of knuckleheads tore up a kindergarten graduation. We saw what happened at the Lilac Festival when a few people, even though there were lots of people at the Lilac Festival, but a few people decided that they wanted to fight and then take out their cameras. And then we saw this over on Monday during what many call Senior Skip Day over at here at Ontario Beach Park. But it goes further than that. This is a symptom of what we are seeing in terms of people not being able to handle their emotions and people egging individuals on to create mayhem and violence. We saw this in the East End 2 years ago. I put a squash to it. We have not had major incidences since then. We have seen this at graduations locally, the Fireman's Festival, and don't forget, just 2 weeks ago, sometimes we have amnesia, Fairport, which was absolutely out of control on fire, where you had multiple fights there, and you all have the videos to prove it. One of the things I want to say immediately, I just met with my corporation counsel this morning. I have my commissioner of parks here. She's Parks and Recreation, Dr. Shirley Green, as well as Zekwe Tukes, as well as my chief of police, David Smith. In Rochester, if you come to a Rochester facility, and if you decide to create mayhem and chaos, you will be banned, period. We have a background on this already. We have people who have been banned from our public libraries. So I want to announce today that if anyone is in a public space and we are able to positively identify you, and we have great pictures of individuals that decided to cut up and turn up here at the park. You know, the young lady whose shirt was up, who was on top of the car. You can see the license plates of the last digit of the car number. It ends in Z. So we have the ability to identify individuals that come here that decide that they want to turn up, create mayhem. You will be banned from our facilities. We believe that we are within our law to do that. I checked with my law department. We will be doing that. Commissioner Green will be promulgating those rules. They will be posted in all city parks and city facilities. You come, you want to misbehave, you're out, period. We cannot tolerate the type of nonsense that we've seen in our community. I also want to add that we will be speaking with any individuals that are involved in these instances. And we've done this in the past. We did this after the Puerto Rican Festival, when we had people on North Clinton Avenue that decided to, a few people that decided to act up afterwards, and in other instances. We followed up with them, and where appropriate, charges were rendered. And we will do that going forward as well. And if troublemakers in other city spaces can attest that is what we have done, particularly at the library, and we will do that again going forward. Parents need to be aware of what their children are doing on social media, but I will add that it is just not the children. Oftentimes, the adults are also involved in egging on their children or accompanying them to the fights that you're seeing online. I don't know if it's 15 minutes of fame or whatever it is they want to get, but it's not fair to the rest of the people that are doing these things. I am not one of these individuals that will say there's nothing we can do. There's absolutely something that we can do. And the things that we just mentioned, along with the things the county executive mentioned, are what we plan to do going forward. Lastly, I want to add, I had a conversation with someone. They said, oh, these kids just not have enough to do? I said, no. There are plenty of kids. 99% of them are doing the right thing. We released our guide. You can talk to any of these folks off camera from the city of Rochester, and you can turn to your page randomly and see the activities that are happening. This is not individuals that are interested in constructive activity. These are individuals that are interested in creating mayhem and creating chaos. And there's a difference. And we need to call it out for what it is. It's mayhem and chaos. These are not kids that are playing soccer, working in a summer job, going to one of our art centers, or coming to the park to have a good time. They're coming for the express purpose to fight, period. And we will try to stop that at the pass. Lastly, a partner that's not here, but is also critical in this, is the Rochester Regional Transit Service. We have talked with them. We are working with them. We will ensure that any individuals that are coming down here expressly to fight and getting on a bus, that we will work to ensure that we cut that off at the pass. That is critical. We want to stop it before it happens. So we look forward to a great summer. We want to encourage everyone to come down here. Abbott's is turning 100 years. As the county executive said, the county executive said the carousel is opening up, but also we have Concerts by the Shore coming. Harbor Fest is coming up. There are great events coming throughout our community, but not just here at the beach, but across this community. We will be vigilant, and we will hold people accountable when they misbehave. But we have to make sure that the broader community plays a role. We do not live in a totalitarian state in which I or the county executive can go into your home and stop your kid, or not just kid, or adult, meeting up on a location for what they call mutual combatants. There is no mutual, you can be a mutual combatant all you want, but you're still, you could have disorderly conduct, you could be rioting, you could be disturbing the peace. I'm not an expert on this, but what I am an expert on is what I control. And then the district attorney, who you hear from for a second, he'll have to decide what he wants to do with charges. But from my perspective, we will pursue everything within my power, within the law, to make sure that this nonsense does not continue. So I thank you all for being here today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our county sheriff, and then after that, our district attorney, and then it'll come back to the county executive. Mr. Sheriff.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Just talk a little bit about the collaboration here. You know, when these things arise, the fact that city government, county government, the state police, probation, parks, rec, all get together in a room and talk and discuss how can we help the near-term problem is utterly incredible. You don't see this in every community. So we got to recognize all these people standing up here in the collaboration, the communication, coordination to hopefully prevent, but also to address when it occurs. To address it when it occurs, we have law enforcement are going to have sufficient resources down here to A, hopefully prevent, and B, if they go off again, we're going to try and make as many apprehensions as we can and then give a case to the prosecutor to hopefully prosecute these cases and bring people to justice. That takes resources. That takes a phenomenal amount of resources. A disorderly conduct up here in this park I've done many times, like 6 years ago, was an hour and a half man-hours. Throw a juvenile 16 or above, you could be talking 4 or 5 man-hours just for a disorderly conduct arrest. We got to find a spider web of a process to go through, get them to the probation department. Hopefully there's a bed at the Children's Detention Center. It goes on and on. But we will have sufficient resources this weekend for anybody that wants to act up. We'll construct a case against them and present it to the district attorney. As far as resourcing, we've committed multiple new deputies to the park throughout the weekend. We committed our Marine unit that'll be policing the waterways. We committed to the air. We'll have drone units overwatching the park. And if something kicks off, we'll get the situational awareness quick to the police officers as quick as possible. We collaborated with the Rochester Police Department, Monroe County Probation, New York State Police. All these assets and resources are coming together in a collaborative mode. Hopefully prevent, but if not, we'll address. Raise the age, bail reform has an effect on this, but we're going to adapt like we always do. This community always comes together and adapts, finds innovative ways to hopefully solve these problems near term. Thank you. I'm going to turn this over to the district attorney, Green. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here and assisting us in this effort. And I want to echo the comments that have been made by other leaders here today about the collaboration we have in our community. It's essential, and it's part of the reason that we're so successful here in Monroe County. As the district attorney, obviously public safety is our #1 concern at our office. It always has been, it always will be. Everybody in our community should feel safe and free to attend festivals or venture into the parks without fear of groups fighting en masse or potentially rioting. There are several charges that are applicable, and when the Sheriff's Department or the Rochester Police Department bring those charges, we'll review them. They could be violation level offenses, as some have mentioned, like trespass or disorderly conduct. Certainly could be misdemeanor level offenses, such as assault in the 3rd degree, criminal trespass, or potentially even rioting in the 2nd degree. There are also felony charges that may be applicable depending on the circumstances, including assault in the 2nd degree, assault in the 1st degree, possibly rioting in the 1st degree, depending on the circumstances. We will assess any charges that are brought to us. We have a team of exceptional prosecutors who are ready to do that, and we will do our part in this collaborative effort to make sure that the community is safe when you're venturing out into public. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, District Attorney. I want to again thank all of our partners who are here today to, as the Sheriff said, prevent, respond, and hold people accountable to this type of behavior, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be able to come out and enjoy our county parks safely. So with that, we can take any questions that the media may have.
Yes. I know the sheriff said that for this weekend there would be extra patrol, but what about for the remainder of the summer? Will there be an enhanced presence of officers here throughout the summer?
Want to speak to that? Go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, we react to trends, right? So these things, we've had this Memorial Day several years, right, in the past. These situations move, so we can't say we're going to commit all the resources here. We'll have sufficient resources based on our intel. This week is acute. We got to be here. That's obvious. but it moves to malls, it moves to parking lots, it moves to Durand, Eastman Beach. So we're going to make sure we're fluid. We have a regional investigation operations center, a crime analysis center. We got real-time intel coming from police officers. We'll always react to that and adapt our resources in the appropriate place. As far as the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, we do have a dedicated parks department that patrols Monroe County parks. They kick off at the beginning of the summer year, every year, which this weekend. So you'll see additional resources up here just naturally throughout the summer months from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
Mayor, you mentioned banning people from parks who are troublemakers. How would you pull that off when there's hundreds and hundreds of people here on any given weekend?
Well, it's hard to do, but I think you go after the individuals that are creating the actual problems. I mean, when I pull out my phone and I have the photos of what happened here at the beach on Monday, you have some kids standing around. They're not really causing a problem, right? They're standing around, they're kids. But you have 3 or 4 individuals that are causing the mayhem. They're fighting. There's one where you see 2-on-1, when you see 2 girls, one on top of somebody's car, a white car, and they're pounding. That's who you ban. And some of this may have to be after the fact, after they're identified, and we have our ways to identify just about anyone, right? And then that's how you do it. So that's how you pull it off. The same way in which we do for our libraries and other places. Is it more difficult in a park? Yes, it is, because it's a bigger place. The idea of this is not to ban everybody or ban people. That's not what we want to do. We want people to come out and enjoy nature. We have our outdoor children's Bill of Rights, in which we want kids. We're opening a nature center next month. We want our young people, and not just young people, but adults as well, to experience the beauty and majesty that we have here in Western New York. But we don't want people who are going to do it at the expense of the soccer mom or the basketball mom that's coming to a park to get some relief for her child, and then she has to run because you have 5 or 10 people fighting when it's a warm day and you have hundreds of people out. So we absolutely will do it, and we will pull it off to the best of our ability. But the message is that if we, on a city facility, if we get a picture of your face and of you fighting, it may take a week or 2 or 3, but eventually we will identify you, and you will be banned from that space, whatever that space is, for a certain period of time. Because that's what I think people want, and you have to have some type of consequences for the behavior. These spaces are privileges, not rights.
We heard the sheriff and the DA talk about the criminal aspect of this. And Chief, I don't know if you want to chime in here, but what has been the policy? To just break it up and move people along?
Chief, you want to
speak?
speak?
Has anybody been charged after these kind of incidents, and is that a change in policy that you're looking at?
No, so when you have any time of group violence or crowd violence, the first priority always is to stop the immediate fight, then try and de-escalate and disperse the situation, especially when you're dealing with a situation of multiple combatants and a limited number of officers. And like the sheriff said, I mean, it's simple math. 1 suspect, 2 officers, 3 to 4 hours, and then 400 are still fighting. So we want to end the fighting first priority. Then when we can, obviously, we're going to make arrests. And like the mayor said, it may take a little bit of time, but we did that with the protests. There's multiple examples of where we went back through, we're able to identify people, and some people we even went out of state to get them, charge them, and hold them accountable. So that's what you can expect.
Are you looking at the video from this past incident for any criminal charges?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question. I know you mentioned the different measures that you put in place and the hours changing here. But if that's not as effective, do you think a curfew could be in place to help mitigate the problem?
Well, that's what the park closing is for. So the closing time. So the park closing time was changed to 10 o'clock, but it can also be changed on any given day in response to something, or if we think that there's a potential incident that might occur because of intelligence that the police receive, we can always make that announcement to close it. So we have the ability to do that under the county code. But I'd also just like to make this point in response to the last question. So that's why we did put that infrastructure in place. So the cameras that are going to be installed here, they'll be able to keep an eye on what's going on here. There's I also know from the Lilac Festival this past week, there's BWC footage that we have. There's other footage. So even if it can't be made, the arrest in real time when that happens, people should know that there is recordings, that there is video, and we will review that video and do what we can to hold people accountable. So if it doesn't happen even in that moment, we have you on video.
If a banned person returns to the area, is there an additional charge or enforcement that would take place?
That's an escalation for trespass, yeah.
Sure. So that is a good question, and it sort of depends on the circumstances, to be honest. One example that we see frequently that may or may not apply here, it will depend on the facts, is often the stores like Target or Walmart or Home Depot, they'll issue trespass warnings to people who commit crimes in their stores, saying you're not allowed to come back to the store for a year or you're banned for life. And because those are buildings, if they come back to commit a crime in one of those stores, they can be charged with a felony burglary, right? But that requires a building. So in certain circumstances, there could be an escalation like that. There could also be an escalation from trespass to criminal trespass, depending on the structures and infrastructure that are in place. If something is fenced in order to keep intruders out, that could lead to a criminal trespass charge. We'll be assessing all of that when the cases come to us, to see what charges might be applicable and whether or not it would remain in local court or be something that should be presented to the grand jury.
Sheriff Baxter, are you able to elaborate or clarify on, you said raise the age of bail requirement has an effect on what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. A 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old up here in Monroe County Parks 6 years ago would have been a disorderly conduct. Those videos you've seen, made multiple arrests myself, disorderly conduct, about an hour and a half worth of work, trip to booking, right? Immediate consequences and a message sent. Multiple times we did that, and the next day we had no problems. Now, 16, 17-year-olds with raise the age are going through a whole different process, a convoluted process that I call the spider web. And it takes hours and hours to just get that process going to arrest someone that's 16 or 17-year-old. And then hopefully there's a bed at the Children's Detention Center if we can get them there. Sometimes there's not. It's expanding. They just rebuilt the thing, so hopefully there's plenty of beds there when we need them. But that's just one example of raise the age. And again, raise the age probably needed to occur. You've heard me say a million times, these reforms needed to occur, right? But they went a little too far sometimes. Bring it back just a little bit. We're the experts. I got 2,000 police officers here in Monroe County, and we all agree on certain things. That's a pretty good data point when we all agree that we can make these things a little easier, a little safer for everybody involved, and less taxpayer money being spent on these problems instead of trying to chase them all the time. So raise the age is just one example. Bail reform is another. Some of these are violations. They're not eligible for bail. We can't take them to cap court. It's an appearance ticket out in that parking lot with a suspect in the back seat. We've been there. This is real. Suspects laughing at us and telling us, hurry up. I know I'm getting an appearance ticket. That's the teeth in the system that we lost. So we can bring it back a little bit. But anybody wants to talk offline, this is about collaboration, coordination, communication. This is what we should be doing with the limitations that Albany gave us. And this is exactly what we're doing. We're working as hard as we can to stop this and prevent it and let people come enjoy this park in other parts of our county.
The last point I want to make before we wrap this up, because I know the county executive and I have to get to another event, is we're talking a lot about young people, but I also want to add that there are adults in this community that are just as bad as the young people. So this is not just a young people issue. I know this because I have the East End and other areas in the city where we have had adults, those individuals that are over 18. If you look at Fairport, there was no kids there. So I always want to preface that because I get young people all the time that say to me, we spend so much time talking about the small percentage that are wreaking havoc. What about all of us that are doing the right thing? So I want to be clear that we are talking about that small percentage of young people that are doing this. The vast majority of them are doing the right thing, and they're going to these events of the book that I just pulled out. So adults, you need to model the behavior that you expect our young people to have, because young people don't listen to what you say; they watch what you do. And some of the behavior that our children are doing, they're seeing it from their adults. With that, we got to wrap up. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great Memorial Day.